AEW Dynamite, Jim, this past week did 950,000 viewers.
So that is way up from last week, correct? All the big matches they got, the best of 7, the title match for the Diamond Ring, all that other stuff. So how did they start and how did they progress?
The show began with Death Triangle versus the Elite Match 4, 1,044,000 viewers.
Okay.
Segment 2, Quarter 2, Kenny Omega's promo, as well as MJF's promo, and of course the end of the match was what began this segment, 997,000 viewers.
So when they saw the best of 7 match come up, in the first 15 minutes, they lost 47,000 people.
Segment 3, which is the Acclaim being attacked by Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, Sanjay Dutt, and Satnam Singh, otherwise known as Team TNA, as well as the Jericho Association, the Jericho Appreciation, that's what it is. The Jericho Appreciation
Association
Society.
of Appreciation.
That promo and Jungle Boy versus Brian Cage, 968,000 viewers.
So they lost another 29,000.
Segment 4, the fourth quarter, which is the end of the Brian Cage versus Jungle Boy, and of course Big Bill segment, and the return of Hook, the Blackpool Combat Club's promo, a Swerve Strickland video, and the House of Black versus the Factory, 926,000 viewers.
Jesus Christ. And by the way, I forgot about Swerve because since it was a video, I kind of got all the way through it before I realized that it was wrestling. And but they lost another...
Yeah?
They lost another 42,000 there, so they have in the first hour they lost 118,000 people.
Well, the 9 o'clock...
They need to pick some back up, or elsewise their overall math is wrong.
Well, here we are, the 9 o'clock hour. Chris Jericho versus Action Andretti. There's now 2 wrestlers in AEW who have wrestled in the last year with the first name of Action. How about that? Action Andretti versus Chris Jericho, 981,000 viewers.
So the EVPs put themselves at the top of the program to get the Big Bang viewers, and Jericho put himself at the top of the 9 o'clock hour to get the switchers overs, because you can't tell me that they said, Chris Jericho versus Action Andretti is going to bring 55,000 people back on the face of it. And they didn't know it was anything but a squash match. So that's the top of the hour, tuning in from something else they were tuning out.
Whether it's Chris Jericho or the Elite, whoever gets themselves booked on that show before the women's segment is the smart one.
Yep.
The next segment, which would be 9:15, segment 6, which is Ty Mello versus Ruby Soho, as well as a Ricky Starks promo, 903,000 viewers.
Oh! So they lost 78. They had picked up 55,000 at the top of the hour, and after that 15 minutes, they lost 78,000.
Finally, the last 2 segments on the show, which included the end of the previous match and Anna Jay's run-in and attack of Ruby Soho, the Adam Page promo, the Best Friends, Dustin Rhodes, and Orange Cassidy's promo, and the beginning of MJF versus Ricky Starks.
So basically what you're saying is after they've trotted out every embarrassment in the company, the fucking multiple fucking girls promos, the pudding gangs out there, the whole 9 yards, then they get the champ in the ring. Go ahead.
913,000 viewers. And the final quarter...
So wait a minute. So they gained 10,000 back through all of that on the hopes that they might see MJF. Go ahead.
And the final quarter of the show, MJF versus Ricky Starks and Bryan Danielson's run-in at the very, very, very end, 891,000.
And then there went 22,000 more.
Every week
they'll blame MJF now.
Every week now, and we keep pointing it out. It's hard to deny. It's the women's segment that drives off the most viewers. And the question has to be asked, are the male fans that come in because of the female wrestling matches and the female wrestlers worth the male fans you're losing because of those segments.
So they have almost 1 million people at the top of the hour and give them such dreck for a 20-25 minute period before that main event that they run off almost 100,000 of them. All righty then.
Who do you think is going to open up Dynamite this coming week? Will it be Jericho to address losing to Action Andretti, or will it be MJF? I think those are the two best options. Not the two best options. Those are the two most likely
The two most likely. I think the EVPs have got a taste of having 1 million people watch them for the first time ever, and you're going to have to blast them out of that first segment with Dynamite. No pun intended.
All kidding. I'm not even kidding at all, but I've been saying this for weeks now about the women's segments and what they're doing. If you're an AEW wrestler, again, I don't care who you are you fighting with Tony? Don't put me on after that segment. No one's going to see this or it's going to drive people away. And again, if we're talking about Raw and the ratings keep going down and down and down, we could joke and say it's Gargano. I think a lot of people just aren't interested in Johnny Gargano, of course. But there's never been more women's wrestling on that show. And again, there are wrestling fans who like women's wrestling just as much as men's wrestling, and they'll support it.
But not a lot of them.
But again, how many fans are the opposite, who they don't want that on the show, and that's when they'll turn the channel, and they may not come back.
And you know what? The WWE shows are even worse than the AEW shows in that they're 50-50 men and women. At least AEW hasn't done that yet. Well, they've got enough ratings killers on the men's side. But trying to watch Raw and every other match is more girls and more girls. The top girls are an attraction and they stand out if it's not done and overdone like everything else. And once you've got to 50-50, girl wrestling is way fucking overdone. And, and we're seeing the result of that too.
And that's the thing. It's not just us saying our opinion now. We've been doing these ratings and these reviews, not the reviews, but the ratings and breaking down the quarter hours for months now. It's the same segment every single show. You could bank on it. No matter what's on AEW, you know what segment is going to drive people away. You know when Tony's going to put the female segment. It's almost in the same spot every show, and it kills the audience every show.
Well, I think they need to start out with the main event and work backwards. And at least that way they'd get the viewership probably for everything because I think at this point, even a good main event is not going to keep or add to the viewers on this program. They're going to start with as many as they're ever going to get, no matter what they do, because wrestling as a whole, and this company in particular, is not as popular as a years-old sitcom rerun.